What's going on, Facebook? How y'all doing? Hope y'all are doing well. Hope y'all are doing great. Hope y'all are doing fine. Hope you all had a wonderful day today. What's today? Tuesday? I think today's Tuesday, right? Today's Tuesday? Yeah, today's Tuesday. Hope y'all are having a wonderful Tuesday. So I'm just going to come on here just to talk about something that I would love to have a discussion with you about. And it's something that I've been meditating on this entire day based on a scripture in Isaiah that I'm going to get into in a bit. But I just want to give you a moment to come on and also share this broadcast. Share it. Share this live. Share it with everybody that you know. I'm talking to everybody. Okay, this is something I want to share because I believe it can help you. I believe that it can because it as I was meditating on it and writing it out today, I actually started to write and I was going to post something, but it started to get a bit long, so I had to pull the brakes on posting and say, you know something, I'll probably stash this away for a future book or something like that. But I did decide to still share it because it is something that I believe that can help you figure out some stuff. Okay. Again, share this broadcast, share with everybody that you know in your networks. Again, I don't come on often, maybe as often as I should, but one thing you can guarantee that when I come on, I'm not talking any foolishness. All right. So go ahead and share this. And then in about 30 to 45 seconds, I'm going to get started by jumping in with what it is that I have to share this evening. All right, good. All right. Okay, and again, I got notes, so I'm going to try and keep it as brief as possible. All right, good. Now, the topic tonight that I was meditating on today is based on the scripture in Isaiah 43, 18 and 19, where it says, do not remember the former things, nor consider the things of old. Behold, verse 19, I will do a new thing. And that's what I was meditating on today. That phrase kept coming up in my spirit, new thing, new thing. Behold, I will do a new thing. Now it shall spring forth. Shall you not know it? I will even make a road in the wilderness and rivers in the desert. Now, as I said, I was meditating on this verse today, and meditation is something that is very, something that you should practice. It's something that is very powerful, something that I incorporate as well, where I just allow the word to just minister and minister and minister until I get something that is applicable for me and beneficial for me. Okay, so I was meditating on that phrase, new things, and I was just thinking, going over, how, and again, been in church literally my entire life. So I'm no stranger to the phrase and to the term new thing. God is doing a new thing. God is about to do something new. This is a new season. All of that good jazz, right? Good. But the question that came to me was, we always say that, like it's always a new thing, and then 5 years from now it's still the same. Like we don't see the thing that we were claiming was supposed to be new, right? So what are we supposed to do with that? And that's something that was, again, in meditation. That's where you go back and forth in your spirit, where you and the Spirit of God, you're having a conversation, because He said, "Come, let's reason together." So that's what's happening. I'm going back and forth. Hey, but why is this happening? And then the question that He posed to me, He said, "Look closely at the verse where it says, 'Shall you not know it?'" In other words, don't you recognize it? Can you not perceive it? Can you not recognize it? And that to me is the key in this entire, that stood out to me throughout this entire meditative process. Can you perceive it? When the new is happening, can you perceive it? And that is what I realized, that a lot of times, especially in my own life, I have misinterpreted or misread the signs of the new. So that is what I started to write out and write down. 5 ways that you can recognize when God is doing something new. All right? Because again, he says, do you not perceive it? Will you not know it? Can you not see it happening? All right? Now, I want to begin here before I get into the 5 things, just to lay a foundation so we can understand where this is going to go. Now, for context's sake, for all of those people before they come at me, for context's sake, I realize that God doesn't really do anything new. All right? God, he set the end from the beginning, so therefore he already knows what's about to happen. So there's nothing that is new to him. However, it is new to us. And it's new to us because we exist outside of time. We exist within time. God exists outside of time. We exist within time. So to us, everything God does at a particular moment, at a particular time, is going to be considered new because it's something we've never seen before. So the only way that a timeless, incorporeal being can relate to us and help us understand his ways, his methods, his process, the way he does things, the way he can help us as time-bound and corporeal beings, the way he can help us understand things is by saying that these things are new. All right? If you understood that, let me know. God exists outside of time. So there's nothing new to him. However, because he wants to relate to us as time-bound and corporeal beings, he has to use phrases such as new. That's why Isaiah says, behold, I'm doing a new thing. Behold, I am doing something that you've never seen before. Not that he hasn't seen it, he has. He said the end from the beginning, but we haven't, so it's new to us. All right? Good. Now, moving on from that, the second pillar I want to lay for this foundation tonight is found in Luke 12, 54 to 56. All right, Luke 12, 54 to 56. We already saw that God exists outside of time, so it's really nothing new. It's just new to us because we've not seen it before. Now, in Luke chapter 12, this is Jesus speaking, and it says, then he also said to the multitudes, whenever you see a cloud rising out of the west, immediately you see a shower is coming, and so it is. 55. And when you see the south wind blow, you say, there will be hot weather, and there is. 56. Hypocrites, you can discern the face of the sky and of the earth, but how is it you do not discern this time? And here is the question that God posed to me today. How is it that you do not discern this time? Now, second point I want to lay here. When God is talking about time in scripture, he uses 2 words, chronos and kairos. All right? Kairos is an opportune time, a moment or a season. So when we hear this phrase, it's a new season, this is my moment. That's what we're referring to, kairos. But when we speak about chronos, we are talking about a specific amount of time, whether it's a day, an hour, a week, a month, a year, 2 years, 5 years. That's chronos. It's a specific amount of time. But kairos is a season or a moment. A season that can be extended, it can be prolonged, or it can be retracted. A moment in time. It can be a long moment, it can be a short moment. There's no specific bounds to it. It's a kairos moment, okay? Kairos. A specific opportune time, a moment or a season. Chronos is a specific amount of time. Day, month, year, week, things like that, right? Good. Hour, that. Now, God, now here's the thing, right? God exists outside of chronos. God exists outside of chronos, okay? So if he is existing outside of chronos, what that means is that we have to know what time God is referring to when he speaks about time. we have to differentiate. When God is talking about time, we have to know if he's talking about chronos or if he's talking about kairos. Okay? Now, we need to know that because he could be referring to anyone. He could be referring to a specific season or moment in time, or he could be referring to a specific amount of time. Case in point, in Galatians 4:7 it says, when the fullness of time had come, God sent forth his son into the world. Okay, good. That word time in Galatians is chronos. So in other words, when the fullness of chronos time, a specific amount of time, and we know that when he's talking about a specific amount of time, we know that it's the time, if you study out the prophecies and history and whatnot, we know that it had to be the time of the Roman Empire to get a perfect model so that he can explain. So a lot of things that he was explaining could be explained and understood by the people that were there. When that specific time had come, the time of the Roman Empire, and we know it was from a certain period of time to another certain period of time. So when the fullness of that time had come, that is chronos. But in this particular passage, in Luke chapter 12, that word time is kairos. And hear what he said. How can you discern? You can discern the face of the sky and of the earth, but how is it you do not discern this time? How is it you do not discern this time? This time. So in other words, Jesus was speaking about that particular moment in time, that season, that opportune time, that moment. Now, if you read that chapter, you will realize and recognize that Jesus was actually introducing a new thought process. So he was ushering in a change. He was shifting a season. Right? He was shifting a season. He was doing something new. He was ushering in a new thought process in that chapter. If you go back and check it out. And that's why he said towards the end of it, how can you not discern this time? Like what is happening here now, this time. You can figure out what's going on in the world. You can look at the signs and you can see it's going to rain and the sun's going to be shining. You're going to have a strong wind is going to blow. But you can look and recognize the signs that something new is upon you. So when God is doing a new thing, it more than likely will be in accordance with kairos. More than likely, more times than not, it will be dealing with kairos. Why? Because, again, God exists outside of time. So when he speaks, again, I think in Peter, First Peter or 2 Peter, somewhere says, a day with the Lord is as 1,000 years, and 1,000 years is as one day. So when if God is speaking about time or seeing you to tomorrow or the day after, we need to know what he's referring to. If he's referring to kairos or if he's referring to chronos. All right? Good. So that's the second layer I wanted to lay for the foundation. All right? God exists outside of time. So there's nothing really new according to him, but to us it is because we've not seen it before. And when God says he's doing a new thing in a new time or a new season, then that means it's either going to be chronos or kairos, and we have to know which one. Now, the problem is sometimes we mistake kairos for chronos. And I've been guilty of that. I'm sure if we all be honest, we've all been guilty of that. Sometimes we mistake kairos for chronos because we haven't learned to recognize the signs of kairos. We've been in certain situations where, you get a word from God and you think it's supposed to happen by a certain time, a specific time, a chronos time, when really and truly God is operating from a kairos time, a kairos moment. And I've been guilty of that. There have been times that I've been like, okay, I got this word and it's supposed to happen by this age and by such and such a month and by such and such a time, specific time. And unless God specifically says, because again, he's outside of time, so he can either speak into time or he can give you a kairos word. All right? He can give you a chronos word or a kairos word. But we have to ask him and seek him to figure out which one is it. We can't just assume that we know it's going to be this and that and the other. All right? So we've been all guilty of that, myself included. So if God is referring to a kairos time, when he's doing a new thing, then we have to know and recognize some of the signs of a kairos shift, of a kairos new thing, of a kairos opportunity, of a kairos moment. We have to learn to recognize the signs. And again, this is coming from my own personal journey, again from meditating today and going over certain areas of my own life and my own journey and my own history with God, and coming and bringing it forward and coming up with 5 keys, I would call it, to let you know, or ways you will know that God is ushering you into a new new moment, new season, a new thing, a kairos thing. All right, that time, kairos. That's what we're dealing with. That's the focus, kairos. All right. Number one sign that God is ushering you into a new season, a new thing, a new time, a new kairos moment, is that you are realizing that you've gotten fed up with what you're seeing, and there's a yearning for something different and something more. All right? That's how that. Now, these 5 ways are, let me just say this off the bat. These five methods are in no particular order. I'm not saying that you're going to see these steps in step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, step 5. No. It was just 5 principles that I extracted from my own life in no particular order. But just to show that, listen, these are some of the things that I recognize going back over my own history that I saw where God is dealing with you in transition or for a new season or a new time. And it could be for anything new, whether it's a new job, a new relationship, a new move, a transition. It could be anything. These are some of the things that you'll observe, you'll recognize, you'll see when God is trying to get your attention, to prompt you that there is a new season he's trying to bring you into. Okay? So, back to number one. You're realizing that you've gotten fed up with what you are seeing, and there's a yearning for something different and something more. All right? Now, this is particularly important because a lot of times most people feel they can sense, they can feel that, something, there's more to what I'm supposed to be doing. It's like a hunger. It's like an insatiable desire to pursue the things of God, the things that God wants you to do, the things that God has called you to do. It's like a burning desire. Like Jeremiah, I think it was Jesus that said it. The zeal for your house, Lord, has overtaken me. That's what it feels like. There's more that you could do. There's more that could be done. There's more. Now, one of the examples that I thought about while doing this was David, when he went to fight Goliath. And scripture says that, David went in and out from tending his father's sheep to tending to Saul. And this is around the same time, during the 40-day period that Goliath was taunting the children of Israel. And it came to a point, I'm pretty sure, that David, going back and forth, heard this multiple times, because it said Goliath taunted them day and night for 40 days. All right? So David must have heard it, and it got to a point where he was like, something? Nah, I can't do this no more. I'm fed up. I'm tired of this. There's got to be something that I can do to avert this. And that's what he said. Listen, what is going to be done to the guy who deals with this problem? Now, he didn't know, but this was God now ushering him into a new season, a new moment. All right, this was God's way of ushering him that desire to want to get this problem solved. That this desire to know that, listen, I can do this. There's more. There's more than just cowering in fear from this guy. Now, there's a caveat to this. Whenever you begin to feel that way and you begin to express that, you're going to have what I call David's older brothers, the elder brother syndrome from David, right? And here's what it says. In one of the verses, it says, one of David's brothers said, listen, why are you here, David? I know your pride and your insolence you wanted to come here to see the battle. You didn't want to come there. You're too nosy. Why are you here? You will always have people like that. Whenever you begin to make strides and say, listen, I'm tired of this. I'm really fed up. I'm tired of seeing this the same way. I'm tired of seeing this. There has to be more that we can do. You're going to have people that treat you like David's older brothers treated him. And what was David's response? What did I do to you again? Like, what did I do now? I just reached. I ain't do nothing to you. And then he said these very important words. Is there not a cause? Is there not a reason for me to behave like this? Is there not a reason for me to ask this question? Is there not a cause? Is there not a reason for me to go around and say, listen, what are we going to do? What shall be done to the person who does this to Goliath? All right? So that's one. One is realizing that you've gotten fed up with what you're seeing and recognizing that there's something new and something more that can be achieved. Right? That's one. Number two, the second sign that you can tell where God is ushering you into something new is you begin to feel, sense, and or display some levels of discomfort and some levels of dis-ease. Not disease, but dis-ease, meaning there's just something about you that things begin to become uncomfortable. Where you are, you begin to sense discomfort. Things that you were comfortable in, you realize that you are no longer comfortable in that setting, that scenario, and it has nothing to do with has nothing to do with the way you feel you're better than everybody else. It just has to do with it's like you don't fit anymore. You used to fit before, but now you don't fit. An example of this is Nehemiah, right? Now in Nehemiah, it says that in chapter 1, I think it was the month of Nisan, right? In the month of Nisan, hold on, let me look for it. Nehemiah chapter 1. Excuse me. Okay. And it says, so the month was Chislev, right? Chislev. And in chapter 2, it says that the month of Nisan. Okay, good. So in chapter 1, it says the month of Chislev, and in chapter 2, the month of Nisan. Now, if you look at the Hebrew calendar, you will observe that between the month of Chislev and the month of Nisan is 5 months. There's a couple of months that elapse in that 5. And then it says in chapter 2 that Nehemiah's face was discontented in the presence of the king. This had been going on. Nehemiah had been feeling this way for 5 months. Discomfort, dis-easement. He didn't feel like he fit in the king's palace anymore. And the king observed that. So when God is ushering you into something new, you will begin to feel discomfort, uncomfortable. You won't be able to fit in the same spaces anymore. You won't be able to fit in the same molds anymore. You won't be able to fit in the same areas anymore. God is trying to get your attention to show you that, listen, this discomfort you're feeling is a stirring that I want to bring you into something new. So what that means, you need, just like what Nehemiah did, you need to go to God and say, God, what is this discomfort that I'm feeling, that I'm sensing? What is this easement that I'm feeling, that I'm sensing? What is it you're trying to tell me? What is it you're trying to usher me into? What new thing do you have on the horizon? So that's number 2. You begin to feel discomfort. You begin to sense this easement. You begin to display it, whether in your actions, in your facial expressions. You begin to feel discomforted, uncomfortable. Your situations and your surroundings it's not working for you anymore. It used to before, but it doesn't. Pay attention to that. That's a sign. God is just as Jesus said. How can you not discern this time? God is trying to lead you into something that is new. The third thing, so we had number one, which is you're realizing that you've gotten fed up with what you're seeing and sensing, and there's a yearning for something different and something more. That's number one. Number two is you begin to sense, feel, and or display some levels of discomfort or dis-ease where you are at. That's number two. Number three, situations appear to begin to get chaotic and confusing. This is a big one. When God is leading you into something new, all of a sudden, seemingly out of nowhere, situations just begin to become chaotic and confusing. Like you can't believe that this is a situation that is happening, right? But you got to be careful with this. And here's a caveat, here's a warning, all right? Just because things are getting chaotic, I want you to remember to do not focus on the situation. Because sometimes, if we're not careful, that situation can serve as a distraction. The situation will get chaotic, but we have to remember that we have to look for God's hand within the chaotic situation. Okay, because God can show favor in unfavorable circumstances. We got to be careful that we don't get inundated by the situations, the chaotic situations, the confusing situations, because all of those things can take the focus off of the new thing that God is trying to usher us into and keep us focused on trying to regain control of whatever it is that became chaotic or became confusing. And usually 9 times out of 10, when the situation becomes chaotic and confusing, that's God trying to tell you, listen, I'm trying to bring you into something new, but you want to have control over this situation. I'm trying to tell you, let go of it. Let go of the situation. You don't have any control over it. And the more you try to gain control, the more it spins out of control. So that's God trying to tell you, listen, he's trying to prompt you to let you know, hey, I'm ushering you into something new. So this year, I am doing this because I need to resolve this now. So it may seem chaotic, but it's not really chaotic because God's not the author of confusion. There is a method to the madness. There is a method to the chaos. There is purpose in the chaos. Creative chaos, if I can call it that. Right? A perfect example of this is Joseph. We see Joseph being sold into slavery, being accused and thrown into jail by his master in Egypt because the master's wife lied on him, got him in jail. And then we see him in jail for a couple of years. And then he interpreted the dreams of the butler and the cupbearer. And they left him for a couple of years. So chaos, confusing. It was very chaotic it was a very chaotic and confusing time for Joseph. But at the end, we hear these very profound words from him. He told it to his brothers, what you started off and meant for evil, God actually meant it for good, for the saving of many lives. So even and now, hindsight is 2020. So now we see Joseph's story, and we could go fast forward to the end and see now, okay, well, this is how this happened. Oh, okay, good. So because of that now, as the scripture says, the patience of the scriptures, we may have hope. To the patience of learning the scriptures, we can have hope. That means that because we saw this situation with Joseph, even though it was chaotic and confusing, even though we saw it happen that way, right? We have hope that, listen, this will actually end up turning out for our benefit. So, when the situation begins to become chaotic, don't focus on the situation. Don't focus on the situation. Focus on God's hand in the situation. Focus on what God is doing in the situation. Focus on what God is saying in the situation. Right? That's one of the ways he's ushering you into something new. He's bringing you into a new kairos moment, a new kairos season, a new kairos time. Okay? The fourth thing, we're almost done. The fourth thing, the fourth sign that God is bringing you into a new time, a new moment, a new season, or something new, a new thing, is that You are resistant or hesitant in coming to grips with and accepting the new, or you try to logically and intellectually reason yourself away from it. Let me say that again. You are resistant or hesitant in coming to grips with and accepting that which is new, or that new thing that God is bringing you into. Or you try to logically and intellectually reason yourself away from it. All right? Now, the example of this is Gideon. When we look at Gideon, the angel came to Gideon and said, listen, you mighty man of valor. And after that statement, Gideon tried every excuse in the book to reason himself away from it. Oh, where's the God that my fathers talked about? Oh, I'm from the smallest family in the smallest tribe of Israel. A whole bunch of excuses. He tried to reason himself away from the new thing that God was trying to lead him into. He was resistant and hesitant in believing that thing that the angel spoke, which was the beginning, the word that was the beginning of ushering him, bringing him into that new thing. Excuse me. Yeah. So when you begin to rationalize, oh wow, I don't, that can't be right. No, that can't be it. I can't do that. I don't have this. I don't have that qualification. No, I can't do that. I can't start that business. I can't do that. I can't go to that college. I didn't even have my GED. You try to reason and logically and intellectually disqualify yourself from the new thing that God is trying to get you into. Don't do it. Yes, you're qualified. Yes, you can do that. If God is prompting you, yes, you can. And that's one of the signs when you begin to rationalize it, when you begin to debate it in your mind, when you begin to go back and forth with it, right? That's one of the ways you have to take a moment, pause, and stop to see, okay, you know something? Maybe this could be God trying to bring me into something new. So again, you got to take a step back and go to seek God on this thing. God, why is it that I am so anti this? Another good example of this is Paul the Apostle. Twice in Acts, he said, listen, Jesus told him, it is hard for you to kick against the goads. What is a goad? What is a goad? A goad is something that farmers used to prick and prod oxen with when they were stubborn and they didn't want to move to get them to go in a particular direction. That's what a goad was, right? So Paul is saying, now listen, Jesus told me it's hard for him to kick against the goads, against the pricks, against the proddings. So what, by deductive logic, that is telling us that even though Paul was doing what he was doing to the Christians at that time, persecuting and massacring followers of the way, really and truly, God was trying to get in his heart. He was tugging at his spirit. And he was fighting it and rationalizing with it. At least that's what I believe. Because why would Jesus tell Paul it's hard for you to continue to kick against the goals, to continue to kick against the pricks, against the proddings, against the nudgings, against the rationalizations of what it is I'm calling you to do? I'm pretty sure Jesus had enough time trying to get Paul's attention until he just got fed up with it and knocked him off his horse. I was like, okay, you know what? I'm here now, right in front of you. This is who I am, and this is who I need you to be. End this crazy manhunt again, this persecution against my followers now. End it. Kill it. Done. Paul. Done. I've been trying to get your attention the nice way, and you didn't want to listen. Now I had drastic times call for drastic measures. And this is what I had to do. So when you begin to feel that rationalization, that nudging, that pulling, that prodding, take a step back and say, okay, you know something, God? What is it you're trying to get my attention with? What is the new thing you're trying to get me into? All right? And number 5, the last one. We're still going on good time. Yeah, good time. 5. The 5th sign that God is trying to get you into something new or bring you into something new is that it requires a level of faith that heretofore you have never experienced or displayed. It requires a level of faith. Listen, anything that God is trying to get you to do that's new is going to require faith. If it doesn't require faith on your part, then it ain't anything new. Let me say that again. If it doesn't require faith on your part, then it is not anything new. I'd say that one again. If it doesn't require faith on your part, then it is not anything new. And the example of this, I know you know, I'm going here with it. Father of the faith, Abraham. Successive occasions, God told Abraham to do certain things that were new, and he would be rewarded, and he did it. As a matter of fact, he didn't even tell him he would be rewarded. He just told him to do it. And Abraham had to embark on that new thing on faith. He said, get out of your father's house, go to a land that I will show you. So in other words, he left and he didn't know where he was going. He just left on faith to a land that I will show you. Meaning, I'll show it to you on the way. While you're walking, while you're traveling. Now that was something new for Abraham, because up until that point, he probably hadn't left where he was born or where he was from. Extensively, that is, I should say. He didn't travel. He probably didn't travel as far as he did after God called him. They say like that. So it's going to require a level of faith. So if God is ushering you into something new, you gotta know. Listen, okay. If he's telling you start this business but you ain't got that money. If he's telling you apply for this job but you ain't got the credentials. If he's telling you make this move to this particular district and you have and you know you don't have nothing in there, you don't have anything. If he's telling you to do something that is new and it doesn't require faith from you, then it ain't new. If you could do it on your own and it doesn't require him, then it ain't faith and it ain't new. Because it's something that you have not experienced before. It's something that you've not done before. Yep, it's going to require faith. A serious level of faith is going to require that. So those are the 5 ways. Let me see how I'm doing on time. Yep, those are the 5 ways. Again, from my own personal journey. And I've seen these principles. I can call that principle or wisdom nuggets, I can say. I've seen these in my own life at different times in my life. And it had nothing to do with a chronos time. If you missed that, check the replay afterwards. It had nothing to do with a chronos time. It had everything to do with the kairos time. Whether it was a change in relationships, whether it was a change in my personal relationship status, from single to married, when there was a change in jobs, there was a change in ministry, when there was a change in whatever change, even if it's a change in my own personal walk with the Lord, any change, any time God wants to bring us, I can say, into a new level, a new dimension. It could even be if you're an unbeliever and you're watching, he could be prodding at you right now. That's a change. He's trying to usher you into something new. A new relationship with him. A new walk with him. And if you're born again already, and he's trying to get you to another level, something new, he's trying to usher you into something new. Even with your gifting, he's trying to get you to enter something new with your gifting. Whether you're gifted in prophetic, you're gifted in teaching, you're gifted in evangelism, or administration, the gift of helps, or whatever it is. Discerning of spirit, gifts of faith. If he's trying to bring you to a new level in whatever spiritual gift or spiritual maturity he's trying to get you to, he's going to do it by ushering you into something new. And you're going to see one of these 5 things. You may not see all. They may not happen concurrently. They may not happen consecutively. They may not happen in the same time or the same chronos time, specific time, but I guarantee you'll see at least one of them. You will either see one. You realize that you've gotten fed up with the status quo, with what's existing, and know that there is more to be had and to be experienced, and there's something different. You will either be, two, you begin to sense, feel, or display some level of discomfort or diseasement with where you're currently at, your surroundings, your relationships, the where you work, where you fellowship, where you go to church. Even if you own a business, you begin to sense that, listen, it's time to change. It's time to God trying to bring me into something new as far as this business is concerned, either a new level in it or a completely different business altogether. You begin to sense that, right? Situations begin to appear to become chaotic. And that's usually a sign that God is saying, listen, I am dealing with this here. I'm causing this stir up. Like the disciples on the sea. Jesus specifically told them, let's go to the other side. So he wanted to, because he wanted to introduce them to something new on the other side. Right? But in the passage, a storm came up. That storm served as a distraction because it got them off of the mission, which was getting to the other side. And they began to talk about perishing right there and then. See? That was a chaotic situation. It was very chaotic. But you have to learn to recognize God's hand in everything. And that's the warning. Don't focus on the chaos of the situation. Don't focus on the confusion of the situation. Focus on, okay, God, I see this is happening here. Take a step back. With every one of these steps, take a step back and say, okay, God, I'm pretty sure you're ushering me into something new. You're bringing me into something new. Help me recognize it. Help me discern, as Jesus said, this time. Help me perceive this moment. Help me perceive this new thing that you're doing. Always take a step back. 4, you are hesitant, you are resistant in coming into grips with the change. Or you try to reason yourself out of it. You're going to see that. You're going to experience that. And 5, it requires a level of faith that up until this point, you haven't experienced and you haven't displayed. Those are the 5 ways that God begins ushering us, me, you, into something new. Whether you're a believer or a non-believer. He's going to usher you into something new by showing you or bringing up these 5 points or causing these 5 things to become manifest. Again, because a lot of the times, but I've been guilty of it, we mistake the chronos time for the kairos time. And when we do that, we end up missing the signs or the signals that God is bringing us into a new season or a new kairos. So don't miss the signs. After today, after this live, and again, I want you to share this with persons because I honestly believe that it can help them. Like I said, I don't come on here often, and maybe not as often as I should, but when I do come on, I don't talk foolishness. Share this with somebody in your network. They need to hear this. Do not mistake your chronos time for your kairos time. Because when you do, that is how frustration happens. That is how you begin to get frustrated. That is how you begin to become anxious. Because you're focusing on chronos time. Well, I should have been married by now, or I should have had my own house by now, or I should have been making this amount of money by now, or I should have been. No. That's chronos time. That's chronos time. We need to speak. When God gives a prophetic word, when He's speaking prophetically, it is usually going to be along the lines of kairos, meaning seasons. Unless He specifically says that by this time in such and such and such and such and such a day, such and such a time, unless He specifically says that, we have to go with the assumption that God is speaking about kairos. Excuse me, throat is a bit parched. Now, when he's speaking about kairos, we have to be observant and vigilant about these 5 signs. All right, so that was all I have for you. Like I said, I was going to write it down, but it ended up being too long, so I'm probably going to stash it somewhere and put it in a book later on. Maybe sooner than you think, I don't know. But yeah, share this with someone you know, because they need to know about the 5 signs that God is bringing you into a new season, a new time, a new moment, a new kairos, a new opportunity. They need to know. Share with people in your network. All right. Thank you all for watching. I appreciate it. Thank you. And again, when I have something to say, I'm definitely gonna be on. As a matter of fact, you know, I think I'm gonna cut back on the writing, and I'm going to start to, you know, share a little bit more. I can't say it'll be every week. I can't say it'll be every other day. All I know is that when I'm on, you know that I'm not going to talk anything foolish. So when I'm on, jump on and share. All right? So with that being said, thank you guys. I love you. And I just want to release to you that grace to be able to recognize and realize when God is shifting you into something new. When God is bringing you into something new, that you will be, you won't get caught up with what you're seeing, but you will take a step back and ponder what is going on and begin to get with God and do exactly what Nehemiah did. Go to God, wrestle with him. Say, God, this is happening. I need to know. Are you bringing me into something new? And this works for anything you can think of that you believe is new. Anything. Once you begin to see these 5 signs, now I'm not saying that this is an all-inclusive list. But what I'm saying is that these are some of the signs that I saw personally in my own journey of the last 14 years. Every single time where God ushered me into something new, one of these 5 signs showed up. One of these 5 signs. So this message actually took about 14 years to write. All right, guys. So thank you all for watching. I appreciate it. I love all of you. And yeah, peace.